Hey guys, how's it going? Good to be back. Guess what I did last night? I'll tell you what I did last night. I saw the best concert that I've ever seen last night. It was amazing. I gotta tell you guys all about it. That's right. I'm Hellhound, and welcome to my Midnight Spook Show. And last night I saw, as I said, the greatest concert I've ever seen. Slayer's Farewell Tour. Slayer was there. Anthrax, Testament, Behemoth, and Lamb of God. That's right. That's where I got this kick-ass shirt. Yeah, it was mind-blowing. It was easily the greatest concert I've ever been to. Slayer fucking killed it. It's my second time seeing them. Last time I saw them was 10 years ago, before Jeff Hanneman died, and back when Dave Lombardo was still on drums. Now they have Gary Holt from Exodus. He fits in really well with Slayer. They got Paul Bostaff again. He's been in the band before, on and off. And wow, they freaking killed it. Anthrax was awesome. Testament was amazing. Behemoth, oh man, Nurgle with evil as hell. They were amazing. And you know, Testament has Steve DiGiorgio and Gene Hoglan, the rhythm section from freaking Individual Thought Patterns by Death. One of my favorite rhythm sections ever, playing for freaking Testament, which is a super group now, because they got freaking Alex Skolnick, Chuck Billy. I mean, it's a freaking super group, man. And Eric Peterson, too. Yeah, everybody was great. I'm not even a huge Lamb of God fan, but they put on a great show. They had great energy. Yeah, they put on a hell of a show. They were very entertaining to watch. And it looks like my dog is just as excited as I am. Yeah, my neck is still sore from all the headbanging I did. And wow, yeah, I'm really tired. I traveled a long way to go see them. It was well worth the wait. It was well worth it. And now I'm back home, back in my home state. And I figured I'd do a CD review since I haven't done one in a while. And since I've talked about Slayer a whole lot, I figured I'd talk about my second favorite band that I saw last night, Anthrax. Huge Anthrax fan. They were amazing, as I said. It's pretty cool seeing all of them in concert. Got Scott Ian and Frank Bello were jumping around the stage and talking to the audience, and oh yeah, it was such a great show. I'm going to say my full thoughts on the concert. I'm not going to give my full review of my concert experience yet, because I'm going to wait to do that with Dr. Guts, who was also at the concert with me. Me and Dr. Guts went, a few of our other friends, and he and I are going to talk about our full thoughts on the concert we went to last night in the next episode of Into the Pit. So definitely stay tuned for that. I didn't want to talk about it without him, so I'm saving that for when he and I are able to shoot a video. The next Into the Pit episode will be a review of our concert experience of Slayer, Anthrax, Testament, Behemoth, and Lamb of God. Great show. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about one of my favorite Anthrax albums, Spring the Disease. Yeah, seeing them last night really put me in the mood to talk about them. And as I said, I've talked about Slayer like ad nauseum, and I haven't done an Anthrax review yet. I have talked about this album and a few other albums in my Big Four thrash metal mini show, I guess you can call it, whatever I did. I did 5 episodes talking about the debut albums, sophomore albums, third albums, and so on. And I talked about this in the part 2 video, because this is their sophomore album, Spreading the Disease. So I have talked about this album before, but I figured it deserves its own video for sure. And my dog's barking at someone. Maybe I have a visitor or something. So anyway, let's get right to it. This is the second full-length Anthrax album, and the first to feature Joey Belladonna on vocals, replacing Neil Turbin, and the second to feature Frank Bello on bass, replacing Dan Lilker, who's a founding member along with Scott Ian, the rhythm guitarist, and pretty much the leader of the band. Great album, probably my favorite of the Belladonna era, for sure. Now, first let's talk about the band members, the people who made this album so great. Yeah. Sorry, just doing posing for the thumbnail. So yeah, as I said, we got Joey Belladonna on vocals, and now, well, I think Neil Turbin was a great singer on their debut, Fistful of Metal, and I do think his voice sounded slightly more metal than Belladonna. He sounded more like a typical thrash metal singer. Let's face it, most thrash metal singers don't really have like a wide range. They're just kind of like, it's kind of supposed to be really aggressive and violent. It's not supposed to be like really diverse. You know, we don't have too many Halfords or Dickinsons in thrash metal, is what I'm trying to say. And Neil Turbin and Joey Belladonna are both great vocalists. They both hit those high notes. But again, yeah, Neil Turbin's voice was a little slightly more metal than Joey. But I do prefer Joey overall. He has kind of a more classically trained voice. He wasn't really a metal musician. He wasn't really a metalhead when he joined the band. He was more into, like, as I said, classical music and like classic rock bands. You know, he has a voice kind of similar to Steve Perry from Journey. His vocal range is kind of similar to his, and he's my favorite thrash metal singer ever. I gotta say, it was awesome seeing him last night, along with Chuck Billy from Testament, who's my second favorite thrash metal singer ever, and along with Alex Skolna and Gary Holt, who are my favorite guitarists of all time, and Kerry King. But anyway, saving that for the end of the pit episode. Let's go back to Spreading the Disease. Yeah, I love Joey Belladonna's vocals. He's amazing. He hit all those high notes. He has a very wide range. I know a lot of people prefer John Bush for some reason, but to me, he wasn't like, I don't know, he was too reminiscent of like most grunge singers and groove metal singers. They kind of became like a lesser Pantera, like during the 90s. And I like John Bush. I like his stuff in Armored Saint. He's got some good songs with Anthrax, but to me, the one and only true Anthrax vocalist will always be Joey Belladonna. He fits the band so well, and it makes them more unique, the fact that they have a vocalist similar to like the Halfords and the Dickinsons of the metal world, as opposed to like, you know, somebody like Hetfield or Araya. You know, I think that makes him way more unique and way more interesting. Not to mention, as I said, he's my favorite thrash vocalist, and for very good reason. And this album, I think, was his best performance. He really shines in this album. He hits those high notes like it's nobody's business. Like a Medusa, you know, Medusa! And The Enemy, yeah, amazing vocal performance. His voice is just amazing. Those acrobatics that he does with his voice are just insane. Yeah, there he is right there, Joey Belladonna. And for me, he's kind of the highlight of the band. I think Anthrax has the best vocals of the big four of thrash metal. Obviously, he's my favorite thrash metal singer. For the record, Megadeth is my favorite guitar, Metallica had my favorite bass, and Slayer's always had my favorite drums. It's awesome seeing them last night. I'm still pumped. Neck is really sore, though. The neck is still really sore from all the headbanging, and I'm probably going to be deaf for 2 days. But yeah. It's a long travel, but it's so worth it. I just want to talk about the concert so bad, but Dr. Guts isn't here, and I promised I would wait for him, because we both have to talk about it together since he was there too. Anyway, back to Spreading the Disease. Sorry I keep talking about the concert. I'm still excited. You know, I'm still pumped from it. It was just so good. But anyway, all right, now let's talk about the rest of the members. Dan Spitz on lead guitar. I think he's a very underrated guitarist. You don't hear about him too much when it comes, you know, when you talk about metal. I think he's underrated. I think he has some really good riffs and good solos. And his, him and Scott Ian, their guitar playing, Anthrax wouldn't be the same without them. And yeah, Dan Spitz isn't in the band anymore, sadly. Now they have John Denias, who I saw last night. I'm still kind of at the concert. Yeah, but I would have loved to see that with Dan Spitz. That would have been great. He doesn't make music anymore. Now he's a watchmaker. So if you need a watch, maybe he'll make you a watch. I don't know. But he's amazing. You know, I think that he doesn't get enough praise. And I've heard people say, oh, I don't like Anthrax because they don't have good lead guitar playing. I highly disagree. They have some of the most colorful, most memorable solos I've ever heard. Scott Ian, I think, has come up with some of the best riffs in thrash metal history for sure. I think he's kind of the main. He's kind of the riff guy in the band. But Dan Spitz leads and solos are nothing short of remarkable. I think they're highly memorable, and they're a huge part of those early Anthrax albums. So great. Then with the rhythm section. Again, this is the first album with Frank Bello replacing Dan Loper. He's actually Charlie Benante's nephew. That's the drummer. And him and drummer Charlie Benante, as I just mentioned, make up a very adequate rhythm section. I also love Frank Bello's wild stage energy. And I saw him last night. Him and Scott Ian were jumping all around the stage, and you know, he just goes ah while he's playing bass, and he's just they're so fun to watch. And that energy is so infectious. It got me so pumped. I was headbanging uncontrollably. Yeah, as I said, my head still hurts from it. Yeah, still sore, man. There's no way I could have worked today. Good thing I was off. I would have had to call in, because there's no way I could have gone to work. I'm still tired. I did a long travel, too, you know, but I'm back home now. And so ready to talk about the concert. Come on, Dr. Guts, come on over. Let's talk about it, man. Let's do our Into the Pit episode. But yeah, great musicians on this album. My favorite Anthrax lineup. This is a classic lineup. The first album to feature said classic lineup. You know, and sadly it wouldn't last. I'm so glad Joey Belladonna returned, though. There for a while, you know, he was gone for a while. John Bush had replaced him. He was on 4 albums. Then they got some other guy, and then Joey finally returned. And the first thing I said when I found out Joey returned, I was like, I gotta see them live. Now Joey's back. I finally did last night. And they played a couple songs from this album too last night. It's really good. But yeah, now let's get into the tracks. Air, or AIR, the first track, great riffs. I love that opening melody, the opening guitar played by Dan Spitz. That intro just gets me. You know you're in for something special when you hear that intro and you pop this album in your player. You just know that it's going to be something good, you know. And there's not a bad track on this album. Then we go into Lone Justice, then the classic Madhouse, which they played last night. I think that was the first Anthrax song I ever heard. The first album I ever bought with them was actually Among the Living. The next album. This is the first album I purchased by them. The first album that I listened to front to back. But the first Anthrax album I heard, the first Anthrax song I heard, was Madhouse, and that was on this album. Then we go into Stand or Fall, The Enemy, which is probably my favorite song on the album. Very underrated song. I wish they'd play it live more. If they would have played it last night, I would have been in heaven. I love Belladonna's vocals on that song. I love the gang vocals, Scotty Ian and Frank Bello doing the backups, and that awesome drum beat at the beginning, and then that awesome riff that they go into during the breakdown, and the chorus is so amazing. Again, Joey Belladonna's melodic, soaring vocals are just freaking phenomenal here. And I think they're at their very best on this album, as I said. So, hell yeah, man. And then Aftershock, Armed and Dangerous, another great song. I think that was maybe the first song they wrote with Belladonna in the band. Maybe even when Neil Turbin was still in the band, before he left. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. And then we end with then Medusa, great thrash metal song. One of their staples. Like it's just an Anthrax album. I love it. It gets me pumped every time. Great lyrics too, inspired by Greek mythology, of course, that I'm a huge fan of. Then the album closer, Gung Ho, which is a great track, a heavy chugging guitar riff, kind of a slow burner. Then it gets really heavy, and it just gets me pumped. And it's a great way to close an album. A great little outro. So yeah, definitely I highly recommend Spreading the Disease if you're a fan of Anthrax. If you haven't discovered Anthrax yet for whatever reason, freaking give them a listen. You'll not be disappointed. They put on a hell of a show, which I can now attest to since I've now seen them live for the first time. Just freaking amazing. They're a great band. Kind of underrated. A lot of times I hear people say, they shouldn't even be in the big four. They're not as good as the others. I strongly disagree. And I will stand by my opinion. And anybody who disagrees with me on that, listen to this album. It will prove you otherwise. Anthrax freaking slays. And this album is a testament to that. Testament. I saw them last night. Yeah, I just really want to talk about the concert, so I can't wait for me and Dr. Guts to get together and give you guys the whole disclosure, the full review of our concert experience, which was a great one. Oh, also, before I forget, we also met the guitarists from Municipal Waste. They were there. Municipal Waste, the great modern thrash metal band. The guitarists from freaking Municipal Waste were there watching the show with us, and they came and talked to us for a minute. It was pretty cool meeting those guys. They're really cool dudes, so it's pretty cool to meet them. They were just chilling at the concert. Who would have thought, you know? What are the odds? But anyway, Spreading the Disease is an excellent intro to Anthrax's discography. Quite possibly my favorite from the band, but I don't know, they have so many great albums, so it's hard to pick. But I will say this is probably Joey's finest vocal performance, and they probably had the most creative and memorable riffs on this one from Scotty Ian and company. So yeah, definitely check it out. I haven't done an album review in a long time, and I think this is a great one to talk about. So hell yeah, Anthrax. Long live Anthrax. Put on a hell of a show. Got some great songs. Alright guys, well I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching. Long live metal, long live Anthrax. Scotty and Joey Belladonna, some of my favorite musicians in the world. Look forward to be on the lookout for that upcoming Into the Pit video where Dr. Guts and I share our experience of the awesome concert we just saw. Yeah, it was a great time. You guys got to hear all about it. And if you guys happen to have went to the same concert during any of the venues, any of the locations, or even the same one we went to last night by any chance, let us know. Let me know in the comments below, and I'd love to talk about it more with you because that's all I want to talk about. I'm so pumped. That's all I want to talk about is that awesome concert. So, alright guys, I'm Hellhound. Thank you for watching, and keep it metal.